Assalamu alaikum all. I hope you are doing well. Another interesting day in the markets. We did get a pullback, and some of the main characters that have been impacting markets recently, especially as it relates to crypto and Bitcoin. We did get a pullback from the highs that were knocking on the doors of 100,000. We're now at 91,700. And that is to be expected. Keep in mind, there is a lot of manipulation, believe it or not. Gasp, I know. Uh, Manipulation that happens from market makers who offer leverage to their clients. Oftentimes, it's in the best interests of the market makers to flush out some of the longs that have taken leverage positions or are using derivatives, and rather than pay out what they um, are owed in case prices stay where they are. And so when you have an upswing in the price of any asset, you can expect market makers to put a lid on it. And I think that's what we're seeing right now with regards to Bitcoin. Right now, if you are selling Bitcoin, you're selling into a market where institutions, companies, sovereign nations are actually competing to buy from you. And so, and this pressure from these entities to buy from you is only expected to increase with time. So, really, if you're selling, you're either a forced seller, or there's some manipulation happening that is causing the supply to increase and the price to decrease. Some calculations that are being done by market makers. And nevertheless, I think that for us as halal-conscious investors that don't deal with leverage, that don't deal with derivatives, I think it's a good opportunity. I mean, just like we have Black Friday sales on, many other uh, products, we now have Black Friday sale on assets, and this is to be taken advantage of if you believe in the thesis behind these assets. With regards to other positions, we saw pullbacks in Bitcoin miners, which kind of stinks because with Bitcoin lately, I mean, for Bitcoin miner holders, it's been the worst of both worlds. Wherein when Bitcoin is going up in price, Bitcoin miners are not following, but when Bitcoin is going down in price, Bitcoin miners are following. Now, I do believe that this dynamic will break, and we will get appreciation in the price of Bitcoin miners as we have in previous cycles. And there will be some juicy returns, inshallah, for those who have built positions at attractive entry points. Bitdeer was down close to 10% today on really no news other than Bitcoin going down in price. IS Energy just reported their Q1 2025, fiscal year 2025 earnings, and took a quick look at them because they only reported 10 minutes ago. And what I saw was encouraging. Now, the market, I'm sure, will be very volatile in response to their report, but I think they are one of the most efficient Bitcoin miners out there, and they are doing all the right things, keeping in mind shareholder value and maximizing that. So if we take a look at one slide that I wanted to show you guys, so Bitcoin, they have moved forward their target for reaching 50 exahash from the second half of 2025 to the first half of 2025, which is extremely important in an environment when Bitcoin is rising in price, because you want to take as much advantage of these higher prices as possible and be in a position to mine as many Bitcoin as possible in this environment. Now, we also had the AI and high performance computing with measured growth, as they like to call it, and they still have negotiations ongoing with parties. We got a news of this in their latest update, so we'll see if they can provide additional color on these negotiations in their earnings call, which is in 15 minutes. And they are working on their liquid cooling infrastructure for Blackwell GPUs, which should bring down the costs for their cooling and ultimately bring down the costs for their mining operations. And then this is something, so in addition to, I would say the two things that stuck out to me were the 50 exahash going from second half to first half of 2025, that goal. And then the second thing that stuck out to me was this bullet right here: strong operating cash flows to support potential investor distributions in 2025. This is not something that I was necessarily expecting, considering Bitcoin miners have been notorious for diluting their shareholders into oblivion, basically. But it's certainly refreshing as an investor to hear that Bitcoin miners are a Bitcoin miner is thinking about investor distributions, either through share buybacks or a dividend, perhaps. But I think share buybacks may make sense if current valuations persist long enough. Another slide that I want to show you guys, which I thought was compelling, was the all-in cash cost per Bitcoin. And here there's a comparison of Iris Energy to other notable public Bitcoin miners. So you can see at their 31 exahash, and this is an estimate for the quarter ending September 30th, 2024. So around 29,000 for Iris Energy and their all-in cash cost per Bitcoin. So this doesn't take into account appreciation, but it's important when you're trying to calculate cash flows, expected cash flows for the company. Compared to Core Scientific, for example, at 51,000, or Cypher at 55, Mara at 66, Bitfarms at 70, and Riot at 72. So there's a clear advantage that Iris Energy has right now in their all-in cash cost per Bitcoin. And if they use that cash that they have, that remaining or generated from their operations in a smart way, they can add to that advantage over time, and we'll end up with, Iris Energy being one of the premier Bitcoin miners out there. Now, tomorrow we do get the PCE numbers, so inflation numbers, and they will be informative with regards to whether or not the Fed is going to cut rates in December. Right now, the market is giving a 63% chance that, yes, indeed, the Fed will cut rates. So we'll see if that increases or decreases. Obviously, cooler inflation will be bullish and increase the probability of a rate cut in December. Now, to put the retracement in Bitcoin's price in context, Bitcoin ETFs notched the biggest week ever for them last week, adding 3.1 billion as Bitcoin neared 100,000. So it's to be expected after such a strong run that there is a bit of a pullback. Now, something very noteworthy in this article is that investors were also keen on altcoins like Solana and threw money at European funds, giving exposure to the coin. 16 million hit such vehicles compared to 2.8 million for Ethereum products. So the word is out, basically, with regards to what is the best smart contract platform, and it's not Ethereum anymore. Investors want Solana, and eventually the market caps will reflect this. Looking at where we are in the cycle and whether this is a top that we're falling from, or is it just a local maximum and we'll have a retracement but then a rebound. Looking at the MVRV's Z-score, we are still quite a ways away from this danger area here in red. We're closer to 3 than and the danger area starts at around 7. Let's say 6 to be on the safe side, but we're still a ways away from there. Now, something giving some nervousness to the market is the talk about tariffs and Trump vowing to add tariffs on everything, stuff coming from China, from Mexico, from Canada. This is going to contribute to inflation, which is causing investors to be kind of nervous as to what happens. But I do think that certainly the appointments that Trump has made on the economic front may help in tempering a bit the severity of the moves that are taken and the threat of retaliation. And the more clarity we have with regards to exactly what type of retaliation will happen will also temper the move for tariffs. So I'm not terribly concerned about this. As I mentioned before, I do think Trump is someone who really judges himself by and his presidency by how the economy is doing and how the stock market is doing, and therefore he doesn't want to do something that's going to tank markets or tank the economy. So with that being said, the summary here is that we are in a good spot, and I believe that um, the retracement that we have experienced is a very normal one, and it is one to be expected, considering how strong of a move we've had in November. And for the right assets, it is an opportunity to pick up some additional shares and strengthen our position in those assets. So, just as one looks at Black Friday deals in a positive light, I think some of the deals in the market and the uh, depreciation in price that some assets have experienced can be looked at in the same light. And with that, let's take some questions. So, Salam Rashad, nice to see you. Salam Ali. I don't think the Fed, I think 50 basis points, Rashad, is off the table. I don't think there's any possibility for that to happen. It's either 0 or 25 in December. And so I think that it's not going to make too much of a difference whether it ends up being 0 or 25. I mean, maybe in the short term, the markets react in a certain way to either. But the reason why I don't think it's that big of a deal is because if it doesn't do the cut of 25 basis point in December, it'll do it in the meeting after that. So it's not too big of a deal. They're just changing the timeline a bit, but the general strategy of reducing interest rates to neutral rate, which I think is around 3%, that still holds. Maybe it takes a little longer to get there, but we're still on the same path. So I wouldn't really, lose sleep about that. Oh, thanks. True Skill says, Salam, getting back into investing now. These are very helpful. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I should mention 35% off for a limited time using code BORAN on the PIF membership plans. The premium membership gets you access, obviously, to our community, which is so amazing. I really uh, I really think that we have one of the best communities out there, if not the best. And also you get access to my portfolios where I'm investing real money in, and whenever I make a trade, deep dives, etc. And with the elite membership, you get access to our course. And just keep in mind, nothing in this video is meant to be personalized financial advice. It is just my thoughts on things. Make sure to do your own due diligence before making any investing decisions. Salamat Muhammad Qadura, nice to see you. It's been a while. Salam Abdul Muhsin. Salam Kareem. Sammy, nice to see you. Well, earnings came out just before I went live, so I will take a deeper look at the earnings, and I'm going to, after ending this stream, I'll be listening to their earnings call and going over their numbers with a fine-tooth comb, inshallah, and giving an update as soon as I have one, inshallah, including new buy and sell prices. Can you see iron hitting $40 by the end of next year? I don't think it's I don't think it's out of the question. It really depends on the amount of dilution end up um, that they end up with, and if they're able to pull back the rate of dilution, I think shares can appreciate. They did have a very interesting uh, slide in their investor presentation, which I'd like to go over in greater detail. I'm interested in the CEO's comments on it. Yeah, but it did show different scenarios for the price of Bitcoin and what that would mean for the price of IS Energy stock. And so it's always refreshing for an investor to see the CEO talking about, what the investors care about, which is, their investment and what's happening to it. And uh, and knowing that management is putting the shareholders' um, concerns, front and center, and so that is encouraging. And there is an opportunity. I think there's, if we were to draw a normal distribution, I would say $40 is on sort of the right side, tail uh, end of the distribution. It's not near the center. I think near the center would be something, $15 to $20 per share. When do you think it's time to start allocating to altcoins? Well, altcoins, basically 99.9% of them are complete garbage. So for some of these altcoins, the time to allocate is never. There's some, I think there are some diamonds in the rough, and are certain attributes to diamonds in the rough, including having a fair launch, including having a very well known management, including having very active code base. Things like this increase the chances that the token is not just a pump and dump scheme. So when one of those are found, and I think they have a reasonable price and market cap considering their potential, then the time to buy would be then. So yeah, I think generally crypto assets, the time to invest is now, but you have to find the right one. And for some of them, the time to invest is never. Dr. Boss says we will see many of these crypto market corrections on our march upwards. Yes, this is indeed true. It certainly has happened in every other cycle. So this is par for the course. And I think they are to be taken advantage of when you know what you're doing. Nice, Muhammad Al Mutawakkil. Wa alaikum salam. Nice to see you. I really like your last name. Nizna says, Assalamu alaikum all. Hope iron pops tomorrow. It will be volatile. It certainly was volatile since their announcements. They were up initially close to 10%, and then they pulled back. So there'll be a lot of volatility. You can bank on that. Wayakum Muhammad. Do you feel your portfolio is crypto heavy? No, I think it's appropriate for the time. You guess Bitcoin to reach 100,000 correctly before end of year. What is your best guess for peak Bitcoin, Sol, and Doge this cycle, and when? Okay. Well, I do think that Bitcoin will easily surpass 150 next year. Not really sure about the peak, but I think it will pass at 150. With regards to Sol, that's a tougher thing because there's new entrants all the time, and it's this is a technology play, whereas something like Bitcoin and Dogecoin is less a technology play and more a distribution slash marketing play. and so I'll abstain from choosing a top there for Sol this crypto cycle. For Doge, I think that it will exceed its last all-time highs, which were around 70 cents per token. Do you think Elon Musk's involvement with Doge will affect his contribution to Tesla? And also rumors about buying MSNBC. No, I don't think so. With regards to how these things are done, he's he has a close knit group of people that he relies on and delegates to, and so he'll be making big decisions with regards to vision and and strategy, but he's not in the weeds of the day-to-day operations. So I think he'll be able to do both. He's certainly proven that he's able to do both. Yeah, I think for Tesla, it really depends on your investment horizon. If it's multiple year, then yeah, I would back up the truck on Tesla. All right, so the Iris Energy earnings call has started. I'd like to jump on that call, and if you enjoyed this live, do leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, become a member if you aren't already, and make sure to take some time to stop and smell the roses and enjoy your day and forget about the markets and forget about everything else and enjoy your family because that's really what's important. Don't stress about the markets. They will take care of themselves, inshallah. All right, assalamu alaikum. Take care. Till next time. Peace be upon you all.